Dominic Ingle, the big one coming up. How do you feel as Kell's trainer? How well is he prepared for this fight?
You know, for a world title fight, you tend to find all the kids we've trained over the years, the world title fight is obviously the big one. They put 100%. I've never known anybody, first challenge for a world title fight where they haven't given it everything. Nazim Mammy when he boxed Robinson, Johnny Nelson when he boxed Cole Thompson, Junior Witter when he boxed DeMarcus Corley. The training, they go to another level mentally. They know this is what they've been training for all their life. They've got to win this fight, and that's where Kell Brook is now. You can tell the determination, the focus he's got, and the way he's training, that he is fully focused on the job at hand.
Now, you know Devon Alexander quite well. Junior Witter's boxed him. You've been out in the States. You've seen him firsthand. How does he compare to to Kell's previous opponents, and is he bringing something completely new to the table?
I mean, to be honest, personally, I think the result with Devon Alexander against Junior flattered Devon Alexander. Junior wasn't in a good place for that fight. He'd been beat for his world title fight. Lots of things went off in the background, but that's another story. And given that Devon was, I think, about 21, 22. Junior was about 30 years old. At that age, in my opinion, you can always take a risk, throw everything to the wall and think, you know what, if I win, I win. If I don't, I've got time to come back. And I looked at him then and I just thought, he's not a fantastic fighter. He's quite fit. He's got a nice fast jab. He moves well. But, it wasn't like he was fighting Miguel Cotto or Floyd Mayweather. The guy was definitely beatable. And up until the point of me pulling Junior out, it was a closer fight than the judges actually had it. The TV had it 2 or 3 rounds. I think the judges had it something like 7 rounds to 1, which was totally biased. They're all American judges. But like I say, Devon Alexander at the time was 21, 22. Junior was 30. At this time, Kell Brook is 26 years old. Devon Alexander's 26 years old. And that's the difference. Devon's never really fought anybody around his own age. When he did, I think he boxed Timothy Bradley, who was a couple of years older, and the result there speaks for itself. This time, you've got somebody who's equally as determined, who's unbeaten, who has yet to become world champion and fought in a world title fight. Devon Alexander's been there. He had a unification fight with Timothy Bradley, WBC, and the IBF, and his big chance, he didn't fight to the death. He got a little cut, started complaining to the referee, and more or less pulled himself out of the fight. And that's significant when you look at things like that. Timothy Bradley had a cut as well. He just carried on, plodded away. And if you look at Timothy Bradley's work ethic, he's done that against Pacquiao. He did it against Junior. Which every fight he's had, you will never see Timothy Bradley. Even when he got dropped by Kendall Holt, I think it was, he got back up again, got dropped twice, got back up and just carried on. Never looked for a way out, fought to the death. And I think that's the difference between, Timothy Bradley and Devon Alexander, where Devon Alexander's all right when he's doing what he wants to do. But once somebody starts to apply pressure like we saw with Mathis and Kotelnik, he starts to unravel a little bit. And I don't class them fighters as good as Kell Brook. Kell Brook is young, determined. He thinks this is his destiny. He thinks this is meant to be. It's written in the stars that he should be world champion. And when people think that, it's very hard to tell them otherwise. And I think, Kell being the same age, a little bit older actually, the way he's trained, going to America, the bright lights. He wants to be one of these superstars. He wants to be the Floyd Mayweathers. You know what I mean? He wants to be living in these big houses with all the money, and that's what his motivating factor is. Devon's been world champion, and he let it go. Kell Brook hasn't yet, but when he gets in that ring, he's certainly going to take it on board and take the chance.
We've seen you today on the top table with Kell, but also with Kell's strength and conditioning coach and nutritionist. For you as a boxing trainer, how important is it to be progressive thinking like that and bring on board extra expertise?
You've got, as a trainer, that's one thing I probably think lacks in is lacking in boxing, that trainers have got this thing about themselves where they know everything. Nobody knows everything. You should be always in a position where you're willing to learn off everybody. Some fighters need this kind of treatment. They need the strength and conditioners. They need the nutritionists. Luckily Kell Brook's in a place where he's earning plenty of money. Eddie Hearn's paying him good money. He can afford these things. There's fighters who don't need it. Or I'll say a bit more disciplined than Kell, have it under control. They can just do the normal training. But for me, it's great because you pick up new ideas. You can apply those new ideas to the other fighters you've got. And when these guys came on board, Dave Stash and Dave Embra, I knew these guys anyway. I'd worked with them before in other ways, and for me, it's a relief really, because it just gives me the time to concentrate on the boxing tactics and on the boxing training, the sparring, the pad work, without having to think, getting involved on the nutrition side and thinking, is Kell being, getting fed enough? He's got some fella there telling him what he can and he can't eat, how much energy he's going to burn off in this sparring session, therefore he's going to eat this. And that's a massive relief to me, because you never know whether Kell's coming into a sparring session previous to that. Has he fueled up enough? Has he, not had enough water this time? Is he going to be able to get through this sparring session? And now we know what he's going to be able to do. We know how many rounds he can do, how many rounds we're going to push him for. So it's made the job easier. And like I said, for Kell at this position where he is, no stone has been left unturned. Every aspect of his performance, his nutrition, his training, has been unturned. He's there. He's ready to do the job. He's had the best of everything, and that's why I'm expecting, him to come out and give the performance of his life.
Boxing fans have heard of Kell Brook for a number of years now, and it's only been the last year, 2 years, that he's really started to come into the mainstream, and he's having those big fights, and it's culminating with a world title fight. You've been with him since the beginning of his career. You've seen him grow from boy to a man and now challenge for a world title. Personally, how does it feel for you to see him have his moment?
Yeah, it's great when you've seen the kids from, and you look at me in the gym and you think, what's going to become of this kid? Is he going to stick, get through the troubled teenage years and, become a boxer, or is he just going to disappear? And, with Kell, when he first came in the gym, you want to give him a second look. Just a cheeky little kid, just like the rest of them. But he managed to get through the minefield of the teenage years, carried on with his boxing, had a good amateur career. And you could see bit by bit. I remember when he was, I think, 17 or 18, he'd just won the Four Nations. And you could see him, he'd won ABAs and junior ABAs and everything else. But you could see him all the way through from probably being about 14. He stood out from the rest. You knew it was going to be something different. People like to say something special, but no, just something different. And you could see him when he was used to watch Nazim Ahmed training and the camera crews rolling up and Naz rolling up with his Porsche, and Kell thinking, oh, fantastic, that's what I want. And, it's great, because if that's what your motivation is, which, makes you get into a ring and beat people up and take shots yourself, that's fantastic. And that's what he's all about. He loves that kind of razzmatazz around it all.